Assalamu alaikum. My name is Samrasneem and my roll number is 014. Today our presentation topic is Mesoporous materials. Here's the table of content of my assignment. First we discuss abstract. Mesoporous materials with various structures have attracted considerable attention due to their distinctive properties such as large pore size, higher surface areas to enable pore structure and controllable framework consumptions. Among them, spherical mesoporous materials are of great interest owing to the unique spherical shape which show the close-packed nature and lower surface energy. Mesoporous materials have several key advantages, types, composition, and manufacturing and fabrications. In manufacturing, we discuss hard and soft templating of mesoporous materials, then we discuss ordered mesoporous oxides that can be prepared by a variety of procedures and over a wide range of compositions using various different surfactant, template, and sol gel method with its various applications like immobilization of bioactive molecules and dyes. Mesoporous silica is catalyst, porous silica is hot template, and polymer reinforcement. The mechanism of formation, although till a matter of discuss, are understood in principle, and the macroscopic morphology as well as the orientation of the pores can be controlled in fortune cases. Functional mesoporous materials with multi-level architectures ranging from OD to 3D, that's means 0 dimensions to 3D dimensions, are typically prepared using surfactant templating methods. In these methods, surfactants first form single missiles or aggregated missiles which then assembles with precursors or oligomers to form ordered meso structures or interfaces. In this review, we outline the preparation of single missile architectures and the single missile drug synthesis of mesoporous materials, including low dimensional and 3D structures, as well as hierarchical and asymmetric mesoporous structured by the single missile assembly. Moreover, the implementations performances in catalyst, drug delivery, adsorbents, biomedicines, chromatography, and energy-related fields that have been highlighted. Finally, the opportunities and challenges for future development of mesoporous materials in terms of synthesis and applications are proposed. Then we discuss first introduction. Porous solids are usually technically as adsorbent catalyst ports owing to their high surface area. According to the IUPAC definition, porous materials are divided into three classes: microporous, mesoporous, and macroporous. Microporous range less than 2 nm, mesoporous 2 to 50 nm, and macroporous greater than 50 nm. Well known. Members of the microporous classes are the zeolites, which provide excellent catalytic properties by virtue of their crystalline aluminosilicate network. However, their applications are limited by the relatively small pore openings, therefore, more enlargement. Pore enlargement was one of the main aspects in zeolite chemistry. Large pores are present in porous glasses and porous gels, which were known as mesoporous materials at the time of the discovery of MCM41. However, they showed disordered pore system with broad pore size distribution. Other mesoporous solids were synthesized via intercalation of layered materials such as double hydroxides, metal, for example, titanium, zirconium, phosphates, and clays. They also have very broad mesoporous size distribution as well as additional microporous. Here's the diagram of the mesoporous materials. Over the past 3 decades, functional mesoporous materials with large surface area, large pore volumes, unique mesostructures, and diverse composition have been potential in the fields of catalysis and biomedicines, as well as in absorption and separation techniques. In particular, mesoporous nanomaterials can range in composition, for example, silicates, polymers, carbons, metals, metal oxides, and metal sulfides. The nanomaterial size and the structure and size of their mesopores are vastly tunable. Indeed, of nanomaterials can be tuned from low dimension to complex 3D architectures. At present, tremendous efforts are devoted to fabricating ordered mesoporous materials with controlled consumption, compositions, morphologies, and unique architectures, and to unravel the mechanism of mesostructure formation and to explore their applications. Mesostructures range starts from 2 to 50 nm. Mesoparticles have several key advantages. Number one, simple functionalizing strategies with organics. Now, number two, narrow port size distribution and high surface area. That is the less greater than 500 meters square per g. Number three, biocompatibility and low toxicity. Number four, framework over water substitution with various metal oxides, including silica, alumina, and titania. Types of Mesoporous materials. Mesoporous materials, they have two types that depending upon one is pore size and the other one is framework building blocks. Classification of nanoporous materials. Depending pore size, that is microporous materials, mesoporous materials, and macroporous materials. But depending upon framework building protein, they have three types: purely inorganic, organic, inorganic hybrid, and purely organic. Purely inorganic, for example, pure silica metal, top silica metal oxide, mixed oxide, metal phosphate. Organic inorganic, periodic mesoporous silica, organosilica metal, MOF. And the last one is purely organic, for example, organic porous polymer, porous and carbons. Composition of mesoporous materials. Number one, silica and alumina with similar size, mesoporous. Number two, oxides of tantalum, niobium, titanium, and zirconium and tin. Number three, gold and silver also embedded from the system. Number manufacturing of mesopores. They have two types of manufacturing: hard templating and soft templating. Hard templating is the exotemplate and nanocasting, and soft templating is the endotemplate. Then we discussed hard and soft templating. First one in hard templating. The hard templating method involves nanocasting by using pre-synthesized mesoporous solids or colloidal crystal as a sacrificial mold. The stability of the hard templating scopes allows the preparation of mesoporous nanomaterials with a broad range of composition. However, the method is costly, time-consuming, and the tuning of the mesoporous parameters, for example, mesostructures and pore size, is difficult. Second one is soft templating. By contrast, the soft templating method forms mesoporous materials from single missiles, typically comprising amphilic surfactants and block copolymers. Then these missiles assembles with organic or inorganic oligomers to obtain surfactant oligomers missiles, which further assemble into functional mesoporous material. The mesoporous material can be regulated by tuning the assembly of the soft missiles, and method is convenient, low cost, hence used more often to synthesize mesoporous materials. Here the diagram of the soft templating and hard templating. Hard templating, synthesis of mesoporous replicas, infiltration of metal precursors, crystallization, and removal of the hard replicas. Number two, soft templating. Soft templating may co-assembly of surfactant copolymers with metal precursors to form order hybrids, crystallization, burning of the template. Then we discuss mesoporous silica. What is mesoporous silica? They are all inorganic materials which are formed by the condensation of sodium silicate or silicon alkoxides around an order surfactants used as template. The synthesis of these porous silica as well as the porous structure depends on several parameters such as silicon source, the morphology of the surfactant, pH condition, ionic strength, aging temperature, etching time, and so on. These synthetic conditions directly affect the structure, surface area, pore size, pore volume, and wall thickness. Well, then we perform co-assembly with silica and in the presence of silica precursors. They convert into condensation through egging or hydrothermal, then organic and inorganic simpler template composite. Then in the presence of surfactant removal and solvent extraction, we make mesoporous silica. Proteins cages are large protein nanoparticles characterized by a low halo interior compared to many other molecule species. Self-assembly of protein cages is an especially interesting phenomenon as the particles are already in the size range of 10 to 50 nm in diameter, yet rigid and uniform in shape and size. The cages also possess site-specific functionalities and can assemble in a controlled manner. Therefore, protein cages can form highly porous crystals with macroscopic dimensions. Consequently, protein cages assemblies are versatile, sculpt materials and promising templates for mesoporous materials. Silica gel is a suitable matrix material for crystal, and it can be synthesized in mild conditions where proteins can retain their shape and functionality. Silica is also a commonly used material in biomedicine due to its robustness and biocompatibility, and it has been used in protein based template system, enabling facile separation by calcination and production of hierarchical porous materials. Additionally, depending on the method of preparing the silica gel, it can provide protein crystals with addition stability and be used to affect the morphology of the crystals. Then we discuss soil gel synthesis of mesoporous silica. In this study, we use ferritin crystal as template to produce mesoporous silica. Empty ferritin cages refers to as a ferritin. We are used as a protein units. AFT is a spherical protein cage with an outer diameter of 12 nanometer and an inner cavity of 8 nanometer, and its native function is to store and release iron. AFT dimensions fall in the mesoporous size, and it has been studied as a template for functional materials due to its encapsulation capabilities. Here's the diagram of this AFT, then electrostatic binding. Then they have three forms TMA, PS, and TEOS. Then prepared SiO2. We have previously shown that AFT can be assembled into crystalline lattice by electrostatic self-assembly with various cationic particles. Encasing the crystals in inorganic materials enables embedding of the same ordered structures into the matrix, which is then isolated by removing the proteins. The size of these intermediary particles determines the dimensions of the crystals, including the spacing of individual ferritin cages in them. In this study, we aim to produce large single crystal with high free volume and use metal cations to promote the crystallization. Since the 90s, the pore size has been modulating as a function of the application. Structural properties can be modified by the controlling the synthetic condition. For example, aging time and temperature by the insertion of swelling organic molecules like aliphatic hydrocarbon aromatics alkylamines by adjusting of template by the insertion of heteroatoms in the porous silica framework or by changing the removal condition of the template. Here's the applications of mesoporous silica. First, we discuss immobilization of bioactive molecules and dye. The silanol groups can be functionalized to modify the superficial chemical of the mesoporous silica on the surface, incorporating a wide range of functional groups such as NH2, SH, and COOH, which can enhance immobilization capacity of the organic molecule. Generally, the immobilization of these organic compounds is favored in porous silica with high surface area, and the pore diameter must be slightly higher than the diameter of the adsorbent. In some cases, the incorporations of heteroatoms on the surface of the porous silica modify the physiochemical properties of the mesoporous silica, enhancing the acidity or basicity of the adsorbent. On the other hand, the existence of silanol groups on the surface of the mesoporous silica can favor the immobilization of the biomolecule or any organic compound by electrostatic interactions. Second one is mesoporous silica as catalyst. The addition of a high proportion of these heteroatoms after the formation of the porous silica can also affect the textural properties, since these heteroatoms can partially block the porous structure in such a way with a large proportion of the pores are not available. The incorporation of these heteroatoms must be modulated, since the incorporation of the high proportion of these heteroatoms in the synthetic step can affect the condensation of the porous silica, leading to more disordered structure with lower specific surface area. In the same way, the incorporation of alkaline and especially alkaline earth can provide basic sites to these porous materials. The incorporation of some heteroatoms such as aluminium, terbium, titanium, nobibium, titanium in the synthetic step or in synthesis can provide size to the porous silica. Porous silica, the third one is porous silica is hot template. That porous structure of the mesoporous silica can be used as template to synthesize carbon structure with well-defined morphology, such as the function of the 3D structure of the mesoporous silica. The modulation of the pore size in the porous silica as a function of the catalytic condition will be a key factor in obtaining highly porous carbonaceous structures with interesting application perspectives. Generally, the pore structure is impregnated with a carbon source such as sucrose, perfluoryl alcohol, propylene, organic resins, and etc. An alternative to reduce the cost of the synthesis of these carbonaceous structures is the use of an sodium silicate, which is most economical source of silicon. The fourth one is polymer reinforcement. Mesoporous silica have great potential additives to improve the tribological, chemical, and thermomechanical properties of polymer-based materials. The porosity of the mesoporous silica allows them to host a high amount of polymer chains. According, several composites have been reported, such as polyethylene oxide, MCM14, styrene butene double MCM41. Generally, the obtained composition present a higher elastic modulus at every evaluated temperature indicating high polymer chain stiffness. Other author has reporting that the mesoporous silicates can host monomers and then the polymerization in situ inside the mesoporous can take place. The methodology was followed by the synthesis of several polymers such as polymethyl methacrylate, polystyrene, polybutyl acrylate on porous silica and polymers with higher toughness. When the intropore polymer was flexible were obtained. Then we discussed single missile architectures. What is single missile architecture? And we also discussed the manufacturing and fabrication of the single missile architectures. Synthesis synthetic strategies to prepare ordered mesoporous materials using soft missile assembly, including hydrothermal synthesis, sol gel co-assembly, evaporation includes self-assembly, evaporation oriented assembly, evaporation induced aggregation assembly, and immersion induced interfacial assembly. Various formation mechanisms have been proposed, such as liquid crystal templating, cooperative co-assembly, collider phase separation, layered mechanisms. The basis of all these mechanisms involves the order assembly of missiles from amphiphilic surfactants. However, missiles are dynamic intermediates in the synthesis process and are difficult to observe and investigate. In this, we will discuss the low-dimensional mesoporous materials, including ultra-small OD mesoporous nanoparticles, 1D nanorods, 2D nanosheets, films. In addition, we outline the preparation of 3D mesoporous nanoparticles, including the fabrication of single component and hybrid mesoporous nanoparticles, as well as asymmetric mesoporous nanocomposites with unsymmetrical morphology, composition functions, and surface properties. For all dimensionalities, the limitation of the fabrication routes are explained, and the application that may be possible from this diverse range of mesoporous materials are explored. Single missile, they have five types. OD single missile architectures, ultra small for liquefaction and secondary assembly. Number two, 1D Mesoporous nanorod and nanofibers enables 1D orientation of the conduction of force and electricity. Number three, 2D Mesoporous wins the pliability and the capacity for mechanical strain in sufficient for device construction. Number four, 3D Mesoporous nanoparticles, open Mesoporous channels, stable structures, and tunable size. Number four, Mesoporous core shell nanoparticles, multiple function from core shell synergic mesoporous. Number five, mesoporous core eggshell nanoparticles and isotropic in morphology, composition, and function. And the last one is mesoporous asymmetry nanoparticles. In the soft templating process, single missiles are the smallest units in the formation of ordered mesoporous nanoparticle series of single missile based architectures with highly ordered mesostructures have been developed by using different types of amphiphilic surfactants of ionic or non-ionic surfactants and block co-polymers. Then we discuss two different types of single missiles architectures. Amphiphilic surfactant single missile. Most templates used in the synthesis of mesoporous materials are amphiphilic surfactants and block copolymers, including ionic and non-ionic types. During the assembly of surfactants in polar solvents, the hydrophobic parts of the amphiphilic surfactant point inward and the hydrophilic parts point outward. Vice versa in the non-polar solvent, forming a core at corona-micellar function structure. However, if the assembly of the missile oligomers composites can be avoided during the cross-linking of the oligomers, the missiles remain isolated and single missile nanostructures are obtained. Then the single missile assembly with various precursors or oligomers, for example, silane, silicates, polymers, and so on. To overcome this problem of undesirable missile assembly by during cross-linking of oligomers or organosilane, DEDMS, diethylmethylsilane was applied as a silicate source and to prevent bonding and aggregation of the missile oligomers composites. Here's the diagrams of the amphiphilic surfactant single missile. Then second type is ABC type. It is also known as tall-like copolymer missile. ABA type block copolymers form single missiles with core corona structures, which can be used as template to form mesoporous materials stored in the like copolymers are more stable than missiles, formed by linear polymers and can be used as a template for a variety of precursors and oligomers. As a result, the single missile responds to minor changes in their environment and are in constant flux. Therefore, their stability will not allow the fabrication of complex architectures which requires the precise tuning of the size, composition, and morphology of the missiles. As a consequence of the high stability of straw-like polymers, it is possible to synthesize ultra-small nanocrystals, hollow structures, and core shell nanostructure, greatly expanding the family of single missile-based nanostructure architectures. Star-like copolymers comprises many linear copolymers linked to a core, for example, cyclodextrin, throughout so covalent bonds and the thermodynamically stable unmolecular missiles. It should not be noted that the corona of the missiles from ABC type triblock copolymers are exposed after oligomers, nucleation, and growth, endowing the resultant nanostructure with abundant surface functional groups has facilitating surface modification and liquefaction. In this case, oligomers selectively absorb within the interlayer regions of the single missile by electrostatic or hydrophilic interaction, and the outer coronas prevent interaction between the missiles upon addition and condensation of inorganic oligomers. A series of delicate inorganic nanomaterials is formed from interaction between the inorganic oligomers and different parts of the linear chains of the star-like copolymers. Then we'll discuss in single missile architectures low dimensional mesostructures. They have four types of low dimensional mesostructure. That one is 0 OD ultra small mesostructures, 1D nanowires and nanorods, 2D nanosheets and nanofins. The ability to control the dimensionality of the mesoporous material relies on the interface for the self-assembly of missiles, including the surface coating on low-dimensional spots, for example, carbon nanotubes or graphene. Missile assembly in spatially confinements, interfacial assembly among solid, liquid, and gas objects. Then first one we discussed First one, ultra small mesoporous particle. The fabrication of ultra small mesoporous nanoparticles requires the aggregation of single missiles to be deliberately paused at any early stage of the aggregation process. Several work have demonstrated the observation of ultra small mesoporous nanoparticles. The particles contain less than 10 missiles as intermediate state during the synthesis of large mesoporous nanoparticles. Sub 10 nanometer mesoporous silica nanoparticles with a narrow size distribution and high stability have been fabricated, and the number of ports present in the nanoparticles has been precisely controlled. The ultra small mesoporous nanoparticles can give a better understanding of the early formation pathway of mesoporous nanoparticle. These ultra small mesoporous nanoparticles are biocompatibility, biodegradable, and show improved drug delivery efficiency, enhanced tumor suppressing effect compared with nanoparticles of large size by controlling ethano, triethanol amine concentration. Uniform mesoporous silica nanostructures with diameters of less than 20 nm, approximately 20 nm, are obtained, and the number of pores formed by the CTAB missile assembly are numberable, approximately 8 to 10, under high resolution transition electron microscopy TEM images. Second one is mesoporous nanorods and nanofibers, that is one-dimensional. The assembly of missile with oligomers is a one-dimensional track creates mesoporous nanofibers, nanotubes, and nanorods. The synthesis of helical mesoporous nanorods with widths of approximately 100 nm and lengths of hundreds of nanometers using CTAB. Surfactant sample missile was also reported in certain conditions rather than packing in a 3D manner. Spherical missile assembly in a 1D direction and fuse together to form tubular missiles. A macroscopic morphology of the mesoporous materials is controlled by tuning the assembly with fusing of missiles at the mesoscopic scale. A range of 1D mesoporic architectures have been achieved by the assembly of missiles on CNTS. The phenomena is attributed to certain reaction conditions that cause the packing parameter of the missiles to change, for example, ethanol formed from silane hydrolysis and the consumption of acid or salt in solution. The fusing of spherical missiles missiles in the 1D direction to form rod-shaped missile, followed by hexagonal close packing of the rod-shaped missiles is another method of fabricating 1D Mesoporous materials. In one example, CTAB Selene missiles approximately 2.5 nm in diameter, first assembled in the helix structures on the single wall CNTS to reduce surface tension, and then structure of the assembly walls from helicals to mesostructure to form the ID. When the diameter of CNT is closed was smaller than the diameter of the single missile, the high surface tension at the curved surface of the CNT must be considerable during the assembly of missiles on its surface. The fusion process is crucial to form 1D mesoporous nanorods and nanofibers, 2D mesoporous material with aligned mesoporous channels, and 3D mesoporous nanoparticles with radial mesopores. Compared with the interface assembly method, the direct assembly of the missile from making 1D mesoporous material is most convenient and invert style. In addition to confinement method, the surface of one-dimensional nanomaterials can be used to direct the assembly of missiles and oligomers to create one-dimensional mesoporous nanomaterials. The third one is mesofilms and nanosheets. That is the two-dimensional from the single missile perspective. Two-dimensional mesoporous material are the result of the assembly of missile oligomers composites on 2D substrates such as indium tin oxide and fluorine doped tin oxide classes. Highly uniform mesoporous carbon nanosheet in which the orientation of the mesoporous can be controlled have also been synthesized by tuning the concentration of missile oligomer composites. The packing behavior of the surfactants is varied and vertical or horizontal. The distance of the interlayer space of allows the assembly of only one layer of missile, thus achieving monolayer ordered mesoporous carbon nanosheets. The unique 2D assembly of single missiles results in the formation of ordered mesoporous TiO2 tin oxide nanosheets. This assembly strategy can be extended to make 2D mesoporous materials from different constituents and substrates, including ITO classes, silicon wafers, graphene oxide nanosheets, AAO, and molybdenum disulfide nanosheets. By controlling the assembly of single missiles on substrate, single layer mesoporous material carbon nanosheets with highly altered close packing structures are obtained. By tuning the amount of glycerol in the reaction to change the confinement of missile during their assembly, a series of mesoporous tin oxide nanosheets with thickness from a single layer approximately 5 nm to multiple layers approximately 20 nm is obtained, in contrast to conventional co-assembly mechanism which involve interaction between oligomers, surfactants, and 2D interfaces. When considering the single missile perspective, the surfactant oligomers missiles are performed in solution and then the missile packing is an orderly manner on 2D interfaces. All through the assembly of missiles on 2D substrate is widely used for the preparation of 2D mesomers material. The removal of the substrate can be troublesome. Then the fourth one is 3D mesoporous structure. The assembly of missile oligocomposites in a homogeneous nucleation monomer enables the fabrication of 3D mesomers nanoparticles with various composition, mesostructures, and morphologies. They have different structures, different hydrogen bond. They have two types of bonding present in it: hydrogen bonding and van der Waals, charge, Coulomb force, and coordinates bonding. Many altered 3D mesoporous nanoparticles with different composites have been fabricated, including mesoporous nanoparticles based on silica, carbon, noble metals, and metal oxides. In addition to homogeneous nucleation, the missile oligomers composites may heterogeneously nucleate and assemble on other nanoparticles to form nanocomposites, including core shells, core multishells, and yolk shell structures. They have different unique properties of mesoporous shells, that is optical, electrical, and magnetical properties of the inner cores. Here's the examples of OD, ID, 2D, and 3D. OD, nanosphere, core shells, yolk shells. ID, nanofiber, nanoporous fibers, and nanotubes. 2D, nanosheets, nanoporous sheets, and nanoplate. And the 3D is mesoporous structure, metal organic framework, nanostructure assembly, lysosomes, etc. Then the applications of mesoporous materials. First one is drug delivery system. The major challenge when developing drug delivery system is that drug efficacy de- deteriorates prior to reaching the target, fundamentally due to the excretion of the drug from the body. Additionally, the drug carries needs to be non-toxic and inert throughout the treatment period due to the fact most biological molecules and pharmaceuticals are on the order of a few nanometers. Nanoporous silica with a pore size of 2 to 30 nm is of significant importance for such life sciences applications. These unique features make mesoporous material excellent candidates for controlled drug delivery system. Number one, another port network which is very homogeneous in size and allow fine control of the drug load and release kinetics. Number two, a high port volume to host the required number of pharmaceuticals. Number three, a high surface area which implies high potential for drug absorption. Number four, a silanol containing surface that can be functionalized to allow better control over drug loading and release. Number two application, catalysis. In catalysis, materials with large surface area and nanoscale features are utilized to develop highly selective catalysts that limit energy use and the production of waste and pollutants in industrial applications. Porous materials such as zeolites are broadly used in industry as catalysts and catalyst sports. Yet when large molecules are incorporated into a catalyzed reaction, most transfer inhibits the suitability of zeolite structure attempts to enhance the diffusion of reactants to catalytic sites have been resolved by expanding pore size to the meso range. These super selective catalysts can significantly reduce cost in many industries. Third one is energy conversion and storage. Mesoporous metal oxide with uniform pore size, large surface area, and highly crystalline framework is one of important material for solar cells. A photoelectric conversion efficiently of approximately 1.1% can be achieved in a dye-synthesized solar cell by using mesoporous TiO2, mesoporous with a high surface area, large pore volume, and single crystal like anatase walls as the electrode, which is much higher than bread based on TiO2, tin oxide, and P25. The high PCE can be attributed to the increased loading capacity of dye, high rate of electron transfer through single crystalline like anatase walls, and pronounced high light scattering ability resulting from multi-level architectures. The development of the nanoprecious metal catalyst with a superior activity and durability for oxygen reduction reactions to replace commercially platinum over carbon catalyst in imperative for large-scale application of fuel cells. Recently, uniform and top-ordered mesoporous carbon nanosheet feature with a large surface pore size of approximately 3 and 37 nm and an abundant and content of approximately 6.8 weights. In addition, the OR performing increasing with the rise of pore size, ascribing to the fast mass transfer rate of ORR, relating species and presence of more active sites in the large pore channels than adsorbents. The large surface area of nanoporous material facilitates their use as absorbent for a variety of liquid gases and toxic heavy metals. The uptake of these substances can significantly increase based on the surface properties, hydrophilicity, hydrophobicity, and functionality of the mesoporous silica materials. Multiple applications, including the removal of pollutants from the water, absorptive xylene separation, storage of gases, for example, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, oxygen, methane, hydrogen sulfide, and separation of biological and pharmaceutical compounds have been addressed by utilizing mesoporous material absorbents. The next one is diagnostics. Mesoporous materials are perfect in diagnostic application because of their enhanced image contracts and chemical stability. Functional moieties can be united within the pores, enabling new potentials for numerous measurements and detection due to the low toxicity of silica-based porous materials and their capacity to host a wide range of fluorescence markers. Dyes and drugs can be used to monitor and find the location of therapeutic agents and their activity. Then biomedicines. The low efficiency cellular uptake rate of current materials greatly restricts their application in the biomedical field, inspired by the morphological structures of viruses. Viruses like MSNs with a tubular rough surface have recently been designed and prepared. We display a faster cellular uptake rate that is lesser than 5 minutes than take of traditional mesoporous and solid silicon nanostructures. Here's the diagram of the solid silicon nanosphere. 5 minutes in at 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 120 minutes. Hydrothermal strategy. The hydrothermal strategy is a very powerful technique for the fabrication of spherical nanomaterials. While it is difficult for mesoporous materials, recently we have synthesized uniform mesoporous carbon nanostructure via the hydrothermal route. Interestingly, owing to its high nanodispersity and hydrophilicity, the mesostructure polymer nanostructures are suitable as building blocks for constructing multi-level structures. For example, uniform dual-pore epiphytic mesoporous carbon mesoporous silicon oxides core shell structure nanostructure has been prepared through the modified Stover method. During the drying process, the polymer nanosphere shrinks and constricts under the effect of construction force. Thus, the contraction occurs along a particular polar direction because of the solvent vapor repulsion forces. Moreover, while controlling the interfacial tension-induced shrinking on the mesoporous polymer silicon oxides, nanostructure results in the formation of uniform mesoporous hemispheres. After carbonization, the shrinkage degree is enlarged approximately 50% to form the hemispherical mesoporous carbon nanostructures. The last one application of mesoporous materials is chromatography. The large surface area, pore volume, and narrow pore size, same distribution of mesoporous silica make it as an optimal choice for size exclusive chromatography. These materials have been recommended as spot as stationary phase for normal phase high pressure liquid chromatography, HPLC capillary gas chromatography, size exclusive chromatography, proteomics separations, and HPLC. Then conclusion. Mesoporous materials have attracted ever-growing attention on annoying to the unique structural characteristics such as to enable pore size, control morphology, large surface area, and moderate pore size range access for guest species. These remarkable species open up a broad application spectrum of mesoporous materials, making them promising candidates in catalysis, adsorption membranes, and separation sensors. A key issue for the applicability of these mesoporous materials in association with the thermal and, more importantly, the hydrothermal and mechanical stabilities in general. A wide range of configuration of particular depending on processing condition can be obtained and could be used as drug delivery reference container. Then references.
Thank you.